Mr. A here, saying, how y'all doing?
Yo! Are you ready to rumble? Or should I say tumble? Cause I don't stumble or fumble like a cracker by a gumbo. Standing on the ground, black feet down, killing worms and germs. And I'm doing it on my terms.
Welcome to the Rumble. We are back and better than ever, helping you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. We don't want you sucker punch, so we're here each and every week helping you keep your guard up. I'm Jeremy Lavelle with Remedy Claims Consulting at Claims Coach on Instagram and TikTok, and they just called me the Mouth of the South. And alongside of me is the Catastrophe Queen, the Claims Dame, Miss Jessica Odell, and as always, the graceful, the poised, the one, the only Baby Cakes, Miss Donna Lavelle. How's everybody doing? So I guess you're probably wondering why I departed from my signature alliterations.
Why? Yeah.
I don't know. So I departed from my signature. So I departed from my signature alliterations for one reason and one reason only. I want to take a minute and say how, I hate to use the word proud, but it is proud, how proud I am of Baby Cakes as she is navigating once again the corporate world and the fight that it took to get there. Now, I'm not going to get into all of those details and all of the different peaks and valleys that we went through until she secured her position with, what's the name of the company?
Do I want to say it?
It's up to you. I guess. Well, okay. So she secured it. It is in the medical services space, and she had some experience previously, even before we started rumbling and adjusting claims or whatever. That's kind of where she came from, was from the medical services space. But
I didn't do medical services. I was a paralegal.
That's correct. Yeah. So she's a paralegal, but in the industry that she worked in was the medical services.
Yeah.
So. She's in hospice care. Previously, she was in anesthesiology, that kind of thing. So she is a paralegal working for corporate attorneys, making them all look good and smart. And I just wanted to be very clear about how I feel about the way that she's gone. And, you know, she's about to finish up her second week there. And she seems to have a rein on things. And I'm just super happy for her and proud of her. So that's why I changed it up so that I would have time to talk about this. There we go. So that is my fun little thing that I wanted to throw out there. And speaking of fun things, do you have any fun facts, Baby Cake?
I have some fun facts. Believe it or not. Fun Facts with Baby Cakes is brought to you by Inc. Inc. The best way to get paid. See, I did it so perfect last time.
I know. I did.
Inc. The best way to get paid after a property claim. Inc. Save time, get paid. Wow.
Man, the sponsors just left the building. Just shut the doors. Thank you so much, Inc., for all that you do, even though we can't really articulate it very well.
I love you, Inc. So the person playing guitar, it's more music. Fun facts again. So the person playing guitar on Joe Cocker's "A Little Help from My Friends" is Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, there you go.
The person that's singing the backup vocals for Bob Seger's "Ramblin' Gamblin' Man" is none other than Glenn Frey, the late great Glenn Frey of the Eagles.
Yeah.
And the person playing harmonica on Elton John's, I guess that's why they call it the blues, is Stevie Wonder.
That is awesome. I did not know any of those things. I was going to say that last one, but wow.
And the person singing backup vocals for Billy Joel's "My Life" is your favorite and mine, Peter Cetera from Chicago.
I was making fun of the way he sings just the other night.
Do it again.
I'm not going to do that. No. There are things that I don't let get recorded because they wind up on the internet.
It would. I would definitely post that.
It would wind up on the internet, and I would embarrass myself, and you would like it.
Yep.
So
now you know, and knowing is half the bullshit.
Thank you so much, Baby Cakes, for all the fun facts. So Guys, we're going to dig into some kind of practical stuff here. We're going to call it the tech battle, where we're going to talk about the different available file management systems or CRMs that are out there. We're going to dig into some of the different three-dimensional 3D scanning cameras that we have, and then we're gonna wrap it up with something really sort of basic that everybody probably uses at some point in time. We're going to discuss some roof reports. I want to remind you that it's not us that are debating. We are merely commentating on the rumble that you guys are stuck in each and every day. We want to encourage you to click like or subscribe. And if you like what you're hearing, make sure you take some time to share it with some people. We're going to get into all the different CRMs right after this. Round one starts in just a minute. Public adjusters, listen up. It's Jeremy Lavelle, owner of Remedy Claims Consulting, host of The Rumble, and most importantly, your claims coach. Public adjuster training is one of the hardest things to find. Sure, you can take some online seminars, you can show up to conferences, but none of them tailor training just for you until now. Whether you need to learn how to estimate, scope, negotiate, or prospect, I can help you drill down on the skills you want to develop. Maybe you're just starting out and you need to learn the claims process from A to Z, or you're just wanting help on strategy on a specific claim. I can help you find the traction you were looking for and learn how to truly control the narrative in the ever-changing world of claims. You can reach out to me directly at 888-596-8772, or you can find me on the web at remedyclaims.com and just click Get Started. That's 888-596-8772 or remedyclaims.com and click Get Started. You can even shoot me an email at jeremy@remedyclaims.com. That's JEROMY@remedyclaims.com. It's time to move your career to the next level. Round one, Battle of the CRMs. Now, I use the word CRM, but I really don't mean CRM, even though some CRMs are adaptable to what we're talking about. I want to make a very clear delineation. Any of you that have ever heard me do a show with Lynette or Lynette Young of Claim Wizard, or you've been to one of her events, she will even tell you this: a CRM and a file tracking or a file management system are two very, very different things. So here at Remedy Claims, we actually use both a CRM and a file tracking system. So I evidently we don't know how to get organized, or we like to spend money. I don't know which one it is. Can't figure that out. So but yeah, we've got actually both. And depending on what it is that you're trying to pull off, there is an outside chance that you will use that you may need both, depending on what you're wanting to do, because there are some things that a CRM does that a file tracking system just isn't going to do. And I'm going to tell you where CRMs are incredibly helpful over file management system is it boils down to this one thing, is that CRMs are really built more for marketing, though you should use them for other things other than marketing. That is their leading edge. So whether it's email automation, you can send out sort of email campaigns, different things that you got going on. A lot of these CRMs that are available today will help you manage your calendar so you can make your appointments and provide those sorts of links. It's all about contact and relationship with your client. And interestingly enough, CRM stands for Client Relationship Manager. So it's all really about the connectivity between you and even your vendors or your clients, those sorts of things. That is what a CRM does. And how it is different from a file management system is a file management system will track the actual individual claims. So yes, will there be some overlap information in both of those? Absolutely. But a file management system tracks the actual individual claim. So you may have multiple records for the same client, as opposed to in a CRM, you would only have one record for that client often. So those are the big differences that I'm looking at. And Jess, what are two, I know we're going to be short on time and we could probably spend the next 3 hours talking about all that's available. Give me two of the ones that you like or that you want to highlight in this conversation.
Okay. I'll give you my top of the line, my bougie, my go-to, and then a much cheaper solution. My go-to is MyCase. Absolutely love MyCase. It is more of a legal platform for case management. So some of the things you can't change in it is it will always say lead attorney, secondary attorney, or something to that effect. But basically, it's the same thing as sales rep and lead PA. But it is so customizable, and you can set up your workflows so that once a claim moves from this status to the next status, it can trigger tasks to your team members automatically. Like it'll automatically pop up in their dashboard. Okay, this person the inspection is complete. Immediately, the inspector is going to get the tasks to do the field report, the photos or whatever. And then when it goes to estimating, your estimator is going to get notified. So it's as long as you set it up that way. And I mean, I just had a blast using that with a team because we grew from 3 people to 13 in just a few months because Hurricane Laura hit, and we kind of didn't really have a choice. So my case really.
And let me just ask a quick question, because you are the catastrophe queen. What are if you do not have an up and running operational either CRM or file management system, one way or the other, do you have any business even knocking on the door of a hurricane victim?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I think if you brought in an expert as like a consultant to help you set one up, I mean, maybe you can't afford one in, beforehand or whatever, or you're just waiting to see, and then you decide, yes, we need a really robust platform that now costs $300-$400 a month. I mean, you could find some experienced PAs that can do some consulting for you. But be ready to fork up the dough for that, because I don't think my number 2 could handle hurricane stuff.
I guess kind of more what I'm driving at, Jess, and I don't want to steal your thunder here. What I'm saying is that if you're wanting to go work a catastrophe, which is most likely going to be remote, I'm not talking about a catastrophe in your own backyard, right?
Right.
You're going to be busy dealing with people you actually know, and you're not going to be dealing with people you have to go out and meet and build instant trust and relationship with. Okay. So those are 2 very different sorts of situations. So if you're going to look at working a remote catastrophe, such as a hurricane, could be a wildfire, like if you've decided that you want to go over to Hawaii and help them rebuild the wildfire problem over there that they had a year or so ago, you're going to have some sort of digital platform that allows you to communicate. So if you're wanting to handle a huge influx of claims and your plan was to, buy a fresh set of Post-it notes, that's probably a bad plan. Or if your plan is to manage your claims through your email inbox.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as that sounds, please understand, I did that for Hurricane Laura almost. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I work 97. I work 90. Well, I work 97 different properties. I think it was technically, how many claims was it, Baby Cakes? Was it only like 5 or 6? The Hurricane Laura claims that we worked with that law firm.
It was like 90 something.
Well, it was 90 properties, but how many actual claims was it? I think it was only like 5 or 6 claims.
Like 6 or something like that.
And so that kind of made it a little bit easier because they were all commercial properties, and it was kind of like doing the same thing over and over and over again. But when you have like that consistent ongoing damage, this is what I want to point out and not take too much time doing it. When you work catastrophe claims, every house has the same sort of damage to it, and you find yourself repeating the same things, and it is really hard to keep that information. And this report goes with this property's house if you're trying to just use email. So if you're going to work a catastrophe where you expect an influx of claims, please set up one of these systems, and we're going to get into some more of them right now. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah. So my case, it's the pro or the advanced. I'm sorry, the advanced. So where you get the full gamut of all of the bells and whistles. It's about $99 per user per month. So it's got a little bit of a price tag with it. But if you're just starting out, or you're just a part-timer, or you just don't really want to spend the funds and still have some bells and whistles, Pac-Man's about $149 a month, but up to 5 users. So, I mean, that comes out to $30 a user pretty much. I mean,
which is dirt cheap. I mean,
that's 99 a user.
Right. Or even 50 a user. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some of those. And so I was actually looking at the Pac-Man software, and I was like, you know what? That's actually really quite functional. and then you have up to 5 users, because when you kind of move from a solo operation to more of an enterprise operation where you've got other bodies and other moving parts and stuff like that, some of those things are, that's where a system comes in handy as you assign roles and things like that, and I was looking at it, and maybe you don't want to do a huge financial investment and commit and, spend hundreds of dollars a month on it. But you still have multiple people that you're trying to work with.
Yep.
Pac-Man looks really serviceable. Let me just say that it works really serviceable, and I like the price point on it a lot.
The other feature I love about it, and I haven't tested it on my case, because my case added a finance feature after I stopped using my case. So they've made some additions, but with Pac-Man, for example, over in the finance section, if I have a solicitor at a certain percentage, I put that in there. If I have an estimator that's a flat fee, I put that in there, whatever. And then as the checks come in, I put the checks in, and then it alerts me on how much I owe everybody that's on that file. Like, it tells me that, so I can't mess up. And that's the part of PAing I had never dealt with before. I'd always been on the desk adjusting side and just waited for my paycheck, but
your part. Yeah.
Well,
right.
Now that I have to keep track of everything, even though I'm just part-time, I've still got to make sure people get paid.
See, when people start a firm, I want to open my own firm. I don't think that's what they're thinking of.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I don't think they're considering that responsibility. You know what I mean? And I know that, as dumb as this sounds when it's going to come out of my mouth, I was like, they'll let me know what I owe them.
Yeah.
I won't have to keep track of it. They'll let me know what I owe them. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that I have around me are people I'm going to trust, right? They're going to let me know what I owe them. They're going to know what I owe them. And so that was really, that was my internal plan, or that was my internal lack of plan, right. And I realize when it comes down to the health and the environment of what you take as a claim and what you don't take as a claim, that kind of thing, sometimes that can really inform, what you want to do. Now, like, for example, I just wanted, and I'm running out of time here, but like, Jessica's working on her own, in her own public adjusting effort out there. She's working her own claims, and for all practical purposes, she's a solo operator. Whereas I've got 2 or 3 different people working with me, you know what I mean, that are all 100% commission based. They get the vision, they know where we're headed, and we're all working real hard to get there. But, I need something that is going to be able to communicate to them a lot. So if you're a solo person, that's really going to sort of inform the needs that you have and what you needed to do. So those are things that you want to consider, is which one of these platforms might be good for the circumstance that I'm in, So,
if I was running a firm, it would be my case, hands down. But it's
right.
So little. I mean, HubSpot. I was using HubSpot because it was really, really inexpensive, but it just wasn't robust enough for PAing. So that's why I switched to Pac-Man. But
again, it's still. I mean, some of these are going to be. Some of these are going to be amazing CRMs for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this, the file tracking system that we use here at Remedy Claims, and that is Claim Wizard. And I'm going to tell you there are a few things about Claim Wizard I really like. One, to dovetail with what Jess was talking about, is it tracks payments and commissions. So it's not just the money that comes in, it's where that money goes. It also tracks the claim expenses. So the financial aspect of Claim Wizard is very, very robust. And I heard a birdie talking somewhere next to a water cooler while getting some coffee that said that Claim Wizard is about to do invoicing. Currently, they don't, which is why we have a CRM, because the CRM that we have, it does handle payments, and it also handles the invoicing that we have to do. Send out an invoice today, and there's a lot of different solutions out there. You don't have to use a CRM to handle your invoicing, but sometimes when they have that feature, it can save you another item in your tech stack. Claim Wizard, another thing that Claim Wizard does really well is it establishes workflow. It helps you establish workflow, and they have a Kanban view, which is like a, 10,000 foot view of everything that you've got going on, and it's arranged by status. And so I've got 4 claims that are, needing to be inspected. I've got 3 claims that need to be estimated. I got 2 claims that need to be settled or followed up with on the adjuster. And you can kind of customize your workflow for whatever you want it to be. And then you can kind of run your claims sort of through the checklist. Obviously, it's got an activity log that I think is outstanding. And it has a claims. It's got a claim specific email that you can include in all of your correspondence with the carrier or whatever. And if you can actually get them to reply all, now I realize you can't necessarily control that. You can, if you can get them to reply all, any attachments they send automatically come in to the claim there that you have to sort of organize. It's not going to be able to organize them for you. So you got to go put them where they belong. If you have a different folder hierarchy for all of your files. So it has that in there as well. And it really kind of, it meets all the needs of a claim. The one thing that I wish that it did a little bit more customizable, Lee, is reporting. How many State Farm claims did I work over $30,000 that was settled in under 90 days? You know what I mean? I can, that kind of customizable report, sort of anything I can think of, because we had a system that was called QuickBase. It was actually a blank canvas system, kind of like this is to file tracking systems as WordPress is to website. So it's a very blank canvas. We used a wireframe and built out our own, and we called that Remedy Claims Manager, but it was built on the platform of what?
Oh, huh? I was just thinking it was called Rectum because Remedy Claims Tracking Manager.
Yeah, right.
It was called Rectum.
But we changed that name. So that was a funny joke when it was just me and Donna. And as we started adding people, we readjusted.
Man, that's an HR violation right there.
But, yeah, right there.
Plug into your Rectum right now.
Put it in the
Put it in.
File it away in the Rectum.
Put it in Rectum.
If it's not in the Rectum, it didn't happen.
Rectum. Killed him.
Right, Rectum killed him.
Oh shit!
What a funny show this is. But so we had that system too. The other one that I want to hit real quick, even though we're out of time on this round, is Job Nimbus. Now that is typically a contractor software. And it is a very intuitive software. It's very easy to kind of see what you can do inside of each sort of job or file or claim or whatever it is that you want to call it. And it does have a very robust reporting feature to it. Now, most of the ones that we've talked about, do any of them have a photo manager that you've talked about? My Case or Pac-Man? Does it have any sort of photo manager in it at all, Jess?
No, it does not. Not that I can think of. No.
And most of the ones that I have found, now, some of them may have it where you can upload claim photos to that claim if you want to. But I'm going to tell you guys, if it's not doing at least what Xactimate does as a photo manager, or better yet, the best end-to-end solution I know company can, then I wouldn't even make that a determination, because you're probably going to use an outside photo manager. But none of them at this point in time have integrated any sort of significant tech and push towards photos, which would tell me that not enough people do it right. You know what I mean? Like, if more people considered how important those are, they would do it more. So I'm going to ring the bell there. One last one I want to mention that is free and customizable, and it's called Trello. So you can go check that out. But there's a lot of other good ones out there that you can look into. Things like I have never personally used Claim Titan, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. And I, again, determining which one is the best, I'll tell you exactly which one is the best. It's the one that you'll actually use.
Yes.
And that's how you tell which one's the best. It's the one, because none of it's any good if you don't actually give it the data to do the work for you. We're going to get into 3D scanners next. Round 2 starts right after this. One of the most difficult claims you can work is a contents claim. It requires extreme detail and significant documentation. Ricky McGregor with Monarch Claim Services is the expert you need on your side. She will handle on-site evaluation, inventory, photo documentation, pricing, and overall contents claim organization. She will work with your team beginning to end so you can focus on the rest of the claim. Do your client a favor and call Ricky McGregor with Monarch Claim Services. You can reach her at 515-783-1434. That's 515-783-1434, or find her on the web at monarchclaimservices.com. Round 2, the battle of the 3D scanners. Yeah, here we go. You know what I think the biggest difference between most of these are? And there's 3 that we're going to talk about, right? I think that there's one that I see that's advertised a lot on like in-app advertisements that I catch, and it is it iScan?
I look at iGuide. iGuide is the one I pulled up.
Well, iGuide is a good one. That one's actually camera based. The one I'm talking about, there is a cheap one out there that will like count, that will help you inventory. Like you can take a picture of it, it uses its cameras. And one of the examples is it's got a bunch of 2x4s that are stacked up together, and somehow the AI in it can count how many are there.
Yes. And I can't remember
so when you have a group of something. And it'll also sketch a room. It'll do things like that for you. So I don't have any idea how much it costs, and I think it's called iScan is what I think it's called. But when we get into the ones that come with hardware or require hardware, so the 3 that kind of pop into my head are Matterport, iGuide, and DocuSketch.
Yep,
those are the 3 that I think of. I'm not saying they're the only 3-dimensional scanning cameras out there. They're the ones that are most prevalent. So those are the ones that I'm going to cover. Okay. So you brought up iGuide, Jess. I have actually set through a demo on this camera, and there's a lot that I like, but go ahead and tell me sort of what your findings are and how you feel about it.
Well, so I used to be a diehard Matterport until DocuSketch kind of came out, and then DocuSketch was,
DocuSketch. I said iGuide. So we're talking about DocuSketch. I've not looked at this.
I kept hearing iGuide for the longest time. So it's not something that I've used, but it is equally as competitive from the research that I've done. And it seems to me, again, I haven't real world experience with it. I have not had. This is just online research. Seems to me a cheaper solution to Matterport and DocuSketch. Now, when I say Matterport, I mean Matterport, the company, the software. They have Matterport. You can use your own iPhone with the Axis, spinner thing. They have the Pro 2, they have a Pro 3, they have different cameras. So when I say Matterport, I'm not talking about the Pro camera. I'm just mean Matterport in general, the service. That
You're talking about
scan,
the service. Yeah.
It gives you a floor plan if you pay extra, that gives you the dollhouse, there's a lot of add-ons, which is what I think is what makes Matterport awesome. For most PAs, especially if you're doing lots of residential, it used to be DocuSketch was my go-to. It was a very inexpensive alternative. The camera.
So tell me kind of so tell us a little bit about sort of how DocuSketch is set up. So just to be clear, Matterport's software as a service is set up somewhere between $70 and $80 a month, depending on how many active spaces you want. I think they have a free version where you can have one active space at a time. Then they've got a pro plan, and then they've got a premium pro plan. They've got multiple different plans, and they range anywhere from about $80 to $120, and then please call for pricing kind of stuff.
Yeah, it goes from a pro,
but it's a monthly commitment. Yeah, it's a monthly commitment.
A monthly commitment, and then if you want to buy the floor plans, they're extra. If you want to buy this, it's extra.
Every little thing,
it really adds up quick. DocuSketch had always been basically gave Matterport a run for their money, and what Matterport did start doing is they started incorporating the same camera that DocuSketch was using, and that was the Ricoh, I think it was the Theta Z1. DocuSketch was using I think it's called the S2 Business, and they started offering more camera options. So you could do almost a camera to camera comparison, but the software, the major difference that still remained, whether you use the exact same camera between the two services, the major difference remained. Nobody does the dollhouse like Matterport does. So if you want to wow your clients, the attorneys and the judge and jury and all those things, if you want to have that dollhouse feature and function, Matterport's, I mean, that's it. But DocuSketch, I can't say anymore, is, the more affordable alternative, because now
It's expensive, isn't it? I mean,
now for 5 projects, it's $429 a month. Now that comes with everything. You get the ESX file, you get, the sketch delivery, you get, you even get room dimensions for drying chambers. I mean, they've really added some features, but then they just smacked that price tag on it. I think they caught up. I think they caught on to, they are offering such a competitive alternative to Matterport's service that they just, I mean, I can't believe what the pricing is for DocuSketch now compared to what it used to be. So now I'm looking at iGuide going, hey, okay, so what's this iGuide? I mean, you get, your standard or even your premium one is $45 for a plan. There's no subscription at all. It has, that's
so you're paying. So what you're doing is you kind of get a full package.
Yeah.
You kind of get a full package on the iGuide. That has like sort of your real estate sketch, if you will. I think you can also get your ESX.
Yes.
But even with that real estate sketch, it is a 2-scale drawing that you can use as an underlay inside of Xactimate, which is one of the things that I use for the different views that Matterport has. One of them is sort of that floor plan. And I can see how it would be easier to trace an iGuide, kind of real estate sketch versus the well, for lack of a better term, it's colored. It's a colored overview photo is what it is.
Yeah, because your instant floor plan that you could just import as, what is it? Import to overlay or whatever that feature is in Xactimate. Yeah. That's $7.99. For $7.99, you get the floor plan. You can import that and sketch on top of it. If you've got a massive, oh gosh, I had a 13,000 square foot mansion in Florida once. I'm definitely not sitting down to sketch that thing.
No, iGuide says, and that's one of the cool things about it. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So ESX for iGuide standard is $33 up to 1,500 square feet, or for premium it's $45 up to 1,500 square feet. I have no idea what that would look like at 13,000 square foot mansion, but it still seems like it would be an alternative to somebody who may not be ready to commit to a full blown subscription based Matterport or DocuSketch.
Well, one of the things that I like about the iGuide, here's the thing that I like about the iGuide, is what you don't realize is that it invoices you monthly for it. Okay. So you're not paying for the plan right then and there, kind of like we pay for roof reports, right? You're billed monthly for the ones that you do. And I'm going to tell you one of the things that you should look at. Number one, the camera price point is a little bit better than the Pro 2 would be. Just it's marginally better, and it's significantly better than the Pro 3 that's out now. The iGuide uses a LiDAR laser to measure everything. I am not. I don't recall what the Matterport technology is on how it does, but I'm going to tell you that is even the Pro 2 is incredible. The downside of the Pro 2, I would tell you, is that it's heavy and bulky, and so it is hard to travel with. So we have like a Pelican case that we pack all of our stuff in, and it's sizable. It's probably 3 by 1 by 2, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's a pretty big Pelican case that we use to pack all of our gear in on that. Whereas the iGuide is basically, it doesn't require a heavy duty tripod. It's a much lighter camera. And so it travels a whole lot easier if you were to take it on a plane or something like that.
It's still $2,700 to get an iGuide kit. Ouch. At least they're using the Ricoh Theta Z1. It's one of the best of the Ricoh. RICOH is the brand. I might be mispronouncing it, but Ricoh or Ricoh, whatever it's called, is the brand or manufacturer of those cameras. And the Theta Z1 is a good one. I'm surprised, very shocked that on DocuSketch's website, they're still offering the Ryko Theta SC2 for business. That's the same one that they were offering in 2020 when I got started. So for 4 years, they're using the very same camera. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Yeah. It's not a bad camera. Don't get me wrong. And your initial commitment.
Is that the only one that works with the service? Is that one camera?
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't branched out.
Wow. Oh, wow.
But your commitment to get started or whatever, your initial investment's $800. So, for somebody getting into the 3D tour space.
It's a safe way to go. But you also have the Matterport access. You could have one free space. So this can be a very, when you work the one claim, you know what I mean? And I think you can deactivate and reactivate for like $5 or $10. So they charge you every time you reactivate something that you've deactivated.
Right. Yes.
So, but we at Remedy Claims have basically had the level of 25 active spaces, and we haven't run out.
Right.
So, I mean, I know we've archived some just for the sake of archiving some, but we have not, we basically have never had any problem doing it. But maintaining at that level, we haven't needed to expand or spend more money on it. And I think it's something just under $100 a month. Now, if you're only doing 2 scans a month, you might really want to look at the iGuide, because that's going to cover your reports and all of that kind of stuff. That's really kind of the question, is how much you're going to be doing when you look at the software service. So which software service you want to use might make that, because the camera is a one-time purchase, right? And it's even could probably be used as a depreciable asset. So you can depreciate it over a couple of years if you wanted to. But one thing that I have heard, Jess, and I want to see if you've heard some of the same things. All of them have a measuring tool within the virtual walkthrough. So like you can virtually walk through all of these spaces. I know iGuide and Matterport does. I don't know about DocuSketch.
I'm looking on their website to see if they've added it. They did not have it for the several years I used it.
So to be clear, what you can do is, if you didn't measure the size of the television, you can go in there with Matterport and measure the size of the television.
Right.
You can measure the size of that window opening, and that's all just part of the tools that's within the software. I know Matterport will also allow you to take screenshots, but I know iGuide does that as well. The dollhouse view is a very intimidating thing to see at the beginning of a photo report.
That's right.
I'm just going to say that. Yeah, because basically the first picture that they see, you know what I mean, that they're looking at is basically should have a caption of, yeah, I know more about this than you do. So, I mean, that's exactly, they're just not, because they're basically that you've blown their documentation. Anything that their field guy with his little, Magnavox little handy 5 megapixel camera has taken, or his 15 megapixel camera that he's taken with his little thing, or some of them run around with DSLRs. I've always ever just used my phone. You know what I mean? It's insured. So that's what I was just
looking at. I was just looking at that on Matterport's website. You can do a starter 5 plan and get a free access for $119. So if you've got a fairly recent, 13 Pro Max or iPhone 14 Pro Max or any of those, high resolution cameras.
I think it's got to be a 14. I think it's got to be a minimum of an 11. That's what I think you have to have, at least an 11 for it to work. I don't know for certain. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig.
I have used the Axis personally, and I use it for smaller spaces. If I just want to go in and I don't want to take the time to sketch it, and I know I'm only doing maybe 1,000 square feet, something little, I go in, I use that Axis, and I don't have to sketch it anymore. And I can have that thing, and it's really pretty quick. It doesn't take any time at all. It's easy to move. It's very nimble. I like the Axis when it matters. Now, I will tell you, you cannot use it with high ceilings. or you
that
have
makes
to
sense.
do that full scan. You have to do the full scan. So that means in order to get from ceiling to floor, if you're dealing with something that's got 14 or 15 foot high ceilings and you want a full scan ceiling to floor, you actually have to take 3 scans from the same place.
Yep.
So that's if you're dealing with high ceilings or something like that, you want to go ahead and use the big boy camera. Otherwise, I have both the Axis and the Matterport Pro 2. And hands down, the measuring tool in that is incredible. I have heard disparaging remarks about the other two and their ability to measure things like cabinets
Right.
and things like that. It's not as good or as accurate. Now, the iGuide salesperson that I spoke with, and this has been a few months back, says it works really good. Doesn't have any issues with it. Again, we're writing estimates here. We're not building rockets going to space. So if we miss it by an inch or two, it's not that big a deal, right? It's an estimate,
Right.
So leave us not be, obsessed over some smaller things like that. If we get a good working idea, we can usually generate an estimate pretty easy. Those are things that those are kind of the three cameras sort of in a nutshell. Is there anything you want to add about them that maybe you haven't been able to get a word in edgewise on?
No, I think that the 3D tour camera space, it just keeps improving. There's the Insta360 came out with their 4th version or 4th generation, whatever they want to call it. It's that, but I don't think the only thing it doesn't offer is kind of what we look for as insurance professionals, in that you can get an ESX with it, but that's the one.
I've only ordered one ESX, like from Matterport. I've only ever ordered one. You know what I mean? Everything else I've drawn myself. Now I have the capability and the ability to do that. And
break walls, move walls, drag them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm very proficient at the sketching and Xactimate. Not everybody can do that, and they have to order it or whatever. So whatever it is that you need it to fill the void in needs to have, like, wherever your weakness is, consider that. I like Matterport because I can work around all of the things that it doesn't include or add or those kinds of things. I can certainly work around that. I think the price point of iGuide is from a bang for your buck. I think iGuide is probably the best there. As far as all of the different things you get with your report. And then I don't have a lot on DocuSketch. I just haven't dug into it much at all.
I was an avid cheerleader for DocuSketch for so many years. But like I said, the marketplace has just become more and more competitive, and it looks like they've really upped their prices, which I don't blame them. I mean, what they offered was phenomenal. I mean, it gave Matterport a run for their money, especially if you're doing high volume residential. DocuSketch absolutely.
So is it your opinion that Matterport has the market share there in the insurance space? I'm not talking about in the real estate space. I'm talking about in the insurance space. Do you think it's Matterport that has the market share?
I still do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do too. It's not the most expensive thing. I think it's a lot easier to regulate a budget on it because it's a little bit more predictable in price, that kind of thing. But all of those things being said, you're not going to really miss with whichever one you choose. I will tell you that you should choose one, though, because doing this without it becomes very, very difficult. Guys, we're going to get into roof reports in round 3, and it starts right after this. Are you a public adjuster, insurance roofer, or part of the restoration industry looking to streamline your first-party claims process? Let me introduce you to Claim Wizard, the ultimate tool that transforms the way you handle claims. Claim Wizard is designed with your unique business needs in mind. It offers a comprehensive suite of features that makes managing claims effortless. With its intuitive dashboard, you can easily track and manage every aspect of a claim from initiation to settlement. This powerful platform supports document management, automates workflows, and provides real-time updates, ensuring you stay ahead in the game. At Claim Wizard, they understand the importance of support. That's why they offer unmatched customer service with a team of experts who are always ready to assist you. Whether it's a technical query or guidance on best practices, Team Wizard is there to ensure your experience with Claim Wizard is smooth and efficient. Time is money, especially in the claims industry. Claim Wizard is engineered to maximize efficiency. It streamlines the entire claims process, reducing the time spent on paperwork and administration. This means faster claim resolution, increased customer satisfaction, and ultimately a boost in your business's productivity and profitability. So if you're looking to elevate your claims handling process, Claim Wizard is the solution. Try it today and experience a revolution in claims management. Claim Wizard, revolutionizing claims, handling one claim at a time. Round 3, Battle of the Roof Reports. Now, I know that some of you may think we're scraping the bottom of the barrel on topics here, and I want you to know that that's really not true. I love getting into claims handling. I love talking about, policy stuff and digging into some of these different case studies that we often kind of tangent on. But I also think setting yourself up with the appropriate work environment and the work infrastructure with some of these tools and how you use them is super important. And the idea here is what I want to remind each and every one of you, whether it's a CRM, a camera, a roof report, any other kind of given tool that you may have, thermal camera, bore cameras, you may have moisture meters, you may have whatever it is that you're using, laser measurers or whatever, should help you do your job, number one, and maybe fill in a weakness. And so that's what you need to be considering is what are the things that I'm weak at? I know that my laser measure, and I know a bunch of them do this, but what was important to me is that it would add up baseboards when I was scoping a room. So I didn't have to take 3 or 4 different measurements. I could just go in and click the add button and it would add all of my baseboards up for me. Because you know how baseboards, you have to subtract the ones where there's doors.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have little bitty pieces
if you don't have, if you've got cabinetry going along a wall.
Yeah, a quarter round is another thing sometimes that you have to measure. So those little things like that, I like features that it does that. I know that there are a couple of tools, so whatever tool that you're using is, make sure that you're looking at everything that it does so that if you're paying high dollar for something, you're actually using the thing that you're paying the big money for, because sometimes you can get something that is a lot less expensive, but does the one little thing that you need it to do. So those kinds of that kind of advice. But on roof reports, Jess, I know the one, I could go over a litany of roof reports here. Do you know what I mean? And again, it falls under the category of the same thing. It depends on where your weaknesses are. Now, if you just want a roof report, like you just need those measurements so you can write that estimate or whatever, I love Eagle View because you can also get the ESX sketch of the roof, and you can also get what is called a walls report that measures all of the different sidings and cuts out the windows and all that kind of stuff. You can get all of that information. I think Eagle View is probably the most trusted brand that's out there. They offer a lot of additional services. Like if you just want them to, you can actually buy a drone from them now.
Huh.
And, I don't know if you buy the drone or if you lease the drone, but you can come part of their drone program. And basically you don't need a license. I don't think that you need a license because it's an automated, you put in the property information and it basically goes and does its own thing. I think you have to be able to control it. So I don't know about the license thing. Make sure you check with Eagle View on that, but it will automate the flight plan so that it knows which pictures to take. So Eagle View offers a lot of different services. And so I think from a end-to-end solution and robust solution, again, the most robust solution that I can think of probably is Eagle View, and the close second is Hover. Have you ever used Hover,
I used to
Jessica?
use it all the time. Oh, yeah. I started with Eagle View in 2019, 2020, that time frame, switched to ACT, which is Advanced Claims Technologies. I really liked their reports too. It comes with the ESX for like I don't know, $30, $40, depending on how many facets or whatever slopes and how big it is and all that good stuff. But Hover, yeah, because it's walls, it's windows, and then not just your walls, but it separates. What I love about Hover is it separates your different wall materials. So let's say you have partial brick on the front and hardy plank. It will give you those dimensions for the two different types of materials as well.
Well, like on the front of my house, I have hardy board, I have brick, and I also have like stone. So I have 3 different facades on the front of my house. I have brick, I have hardy board, and I have stone. Because of like the dormers have hardy plank on them or whatever, the dormers that sit on the roof. And then we've got stone around the entryway, and then the rest of it is brick. And Hover will pull those out. So here's my downside on Hover. If you're a guy that doesn't get out in the field, Hover's not an option for you. So, Hover, you actually have to go collect like the 7 or 8 photos that it needs to create the report. So if you don't have anybody out there taking those pictures that will help them generate the roof report. So I do not think that they have any satellite or drone service within Hover. You actually have to send in and upload the 7 photos that they need to generate the report.
Yeah, I'm on their pricing page, and it does say roof only from photos, and then you can get complete exterior from photos. And then depending on if it's a simple structure, an average structure, or complex, they kind of charge you differently. Most of my Hover reports, I remember being around $75, 120, somewhere around in that range. But that's roofing, that's roof, all elevations, everything. I mean,
there's a lot of information in those Hover reports. I mean, there is a ton of information. And if
you're
dealing with
on site, I mean, you have to be there. There's no option.
If you're dealing with a large, complicated loss, you got to show up anyway and grab those photos. And with a large, complicated loss, it may very well be worth it. I know Hover is trying to encroach up on the interior plan.
I've heard that too.
I have heard. Now, these are just rumors. I can't say for sure. Again, it's just depending on what circle you're standing in at the cocktail party to get this information. So I will just tell you, I have heard that. I have not seen a report. I have not seen a rendering of a report of any kind of way of what they think it's going to look like and the detail that's going to be in it. So I would say keep your eyes peeled. From just a roof report, like if you just want a bare naked roof report, I think one of the best that I like is Roof Scope. You can also add in a gutter plan if you want to add that in, and it'll do a gutter plan for you as well. Roof Scope is just a very generic, it's about $40 a pop on your average house, that kind of thing. It will ask you if it's normal or complicated or simple or complicated or whatever. Most residential plans are going to fall under simple and just their normal pricing. I've never had any issue with the accuracy of the measurements, but it's so funny. Everyone I go talk to at any of these trade shows, and Jess, you may have done this before too. I go to the other booths other than Eagle View and tell me why you're better than Eagle View.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, what almost every one of them well, first of all, we're more accurate. Eagle View will be this and this and this, but we're way more accurate. And you know what? Here's the funny thing is I've never bought 2 roof reports from 2 different providers for the same property. That's number one. And once I have bought a roof report, I have never checked its measurements. Now, maybe that's lazy on my part, but again, I'm writing an estimate. And so you telling me that you're more accurate is not even something I'm going to fact check you on. So you're going to have to do something. So now I've started going, what makes you better other than you think you're more accurate?
So truth be told, when I was with Cass, Complete Adjusting Services back in the day, we did exactly what you just said. We went ahead and tried because we were trying to figure out why are the roofers and their number of squares on their invoices so different from our Eagle View ones. And so we did that on the next claim. We said, all right, let's just buy 2. And at that time, somebody else had recommended ACT. They said they're great. We love ACT. So we're like, okay, let's try ACT. Eagle View was, and I'm trying to remember, was it short by 2 squares or over by, 2 squares?
You mean You mean the report that is the biggest proponent that the carrier likes to use might come up with some short measurements, and it also has the biggest market share, and it's the 800-pound gorilla that we all have to deal with,
Yeah.
and it's considered to be the most trusted brand. What? It was short?
I mean, now,
Shocking.
caveat, this was 2020, early 2020. So, I mean, 4 years
It ain't
ago.
wine, so it doesn't get better with time. So,
But that's why we switched. We said, nope, we're done with Eagle View. It was, I mean, we were doing 75 plus dollars for a roof, reports at that time. ACT was at $30, and they were pretty spot on with a lot of the roofers and what they were submitting on their invoices. So we were like, let's just stick with this. Seems to work.
So, I mean, I think that is, I mean, again, it depends on what you want, what you're weak in. If you're weak in exterior scopes, you might want to go look at a hover report and go through and take your 7 photos and then realize, how everything kind of goes together, because it does a really good job of that. If that's where you're weak is on exterior scopes, or maybe you don't like climbing the roof,
right,
that kind of thing, that may be the trick for you.
And in a hurricane situation, there's a lot of times the roofs aren't walkable. There's so much damage. Yeah. So we switched from ACT to hover pretty much because we hit Hurricane Laura, then Delta, then Zeta, then it was like bam, bam, bam. So yeah, that was the primary reason we switched from ACT to hover. It's not that there was anything wrong with ACT.
I know that I believe that Hover has worked on an integration plan with Symbility. Prior to any sort of integration plan that they may have worked on, they also worked on one with CoreLogic. At the time, last I used it was called Sky Measure, and you could order it directly from there. And from that report that comes into Sky Measure and Symbility, you can actually build out the walls. Like, it has the ability to render the walls in Symbility, which I think is super cool. Now, that rendering of the walls is not going to tell you what part of it's brick. If there's a window in it, you still have to go insert all of that, but it does have the ability to help you render walls and surface square footages, those kinds of things, like the area of the gable, because if you don't know, half the height, half the base, twice the height formula off the top of your head, it'll help you figure those kinds of things out. Sky Measure is another one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I forgot about them.
I have seen varying degrees of accuracy on any report. Right. I heard at one point in time Sky Measure was way off, and I witnessed that it was way off on a couple of them.
I think got away from it.
I think that can happen to any of them. You know what I mean? It just depends on if you're the one that catches it or not. I want to highlight one here, Jess, and it's Roofr, ROOFR.com. Now, it has just launched its own roofing CRM, but one of the really cool things that it does is that it will allow you to draw a roof sketch for free. And there's a couple of things that you can do to get your roof plan for free. It has got a tool where you go in there and you draw in and you basically trace every eave, ridge, and valley. Is essentially what you do. Is you go in and rake every eave, rake, ridge, and valley. You go in and trace all of that, and then you tell it what it is, and then it will generate the report. Now, you can use their satellite imagery from Bing that will tell you, that will give it to you, but that's usually not a very clear picture. But you can also upload your own drone photos. And you can use, like, I was talking to TJ McCormick, who was one of the social media managers for Roofr for a bit before he moved over to EuroShield. But one of the things that he told me is you can take like a 6-foot long 2x4 and spray paint it tennis ball yellow, send your drone up, and you know that thing is 6 foot, and you can set your scale and draw it off of your own high definition pictures in Roofr, and it doesn't cost you a thing.
Nice.
And it's free. So if you own a drone and you can get that photo, that is a great way to go. If you don't own a drone and you just want to use satellite imagery, you can buy better photographs. They'll sell you better photographs or clearer photographs that you can use. They will also generate the roof report for you for a fee. But if you're trying to figure it out, sometimes it's great to just go in and do it yourself for the best you can, and it will help you write that estimate. So I know, like, when I am, either writing a supplement or I'm working a roof claim, you'll get the Xactimate estimate from the carrier, and you look there and it'll tell you the number of squares, and it'll tell you the perimeter. But it won't always, and it may tell you the rakes, but I don't know that it always differentiates the rakes and the eaves. It may, and I think it actually may, but what it never tells you is the valleys. And so when you are most commonly estimating for ice and water shield in the valley, it does not give you that, which is a little unfortunate. And of course, no roof report ever gives you the roof inventory that has all of the vents and stuff like that on it. Most of them will tell you the linear footage of flashing. Those are all key things that you're going to want to know inside of when it comes to roof estimating. But again, there's a lot of good ones out there. Figure out what your weakness is. Go, Jess.
What is the one that does IR, infrared? Isn't there one that I've been dying to get a claim where I can justify getting one done, but
I don't know. Okay, so I first started exploring with infrared probably 2 years ago, just with my own sort of thermal camera. You know what I mean? I started using my own thermal camera, and I would get out there early in the morning, and I could see the temperature differentials on hail damage, and it lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yep.
I took this idea to RoofHawk, which is a...
That's it. That's the one. It is. It's RoofHawk. I couldn't remember.
RoofHawk is still at this point in time. Now, Steve Patrick may disagree with me. He is one of the partners in RoofHawk. But RoofHawk is a roof sales tool, and that was the word that I got straight from Ryan, one of the developers of RoofHawk. It's a roofing sales tool, to be clear.
Okay.
It is not something, and most carriers at this point in time are not receiving it as an accurate, artificial, third-party, unbiased assessment of the damage to the roof. Okay, I know that over the past couple of years, RoofHawk has gotten much better, and I know that they're exploring with infrared. The problem is that if you're trying to get an infrared report, you have got to get out there essentially maybe even before the sun comes up, because on infrared, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So you might get you a little flashlight out there and kind of try to find, what it's calling hail and see if it's picking up. I know that that's what I had to do. I had to get out there before the sun came up, or you can wait. Waiting till the sun goes down does no good.
Well,
because it's still giving off heat there. It'll light up like a Christmas tree.
Here's what I learned from the Infrared Training Center, because I asked this question too. I was like, I don't understand. Please explain this. They said for evening time, water retains heat. So if there's moisture trapped in your roof layers, if there's some kind of water intrusion or whatever, then the dry parts of the roof will cool off faster than the areas where there is water, because water has retained the heat. I was like, what? I have no idea.
That is, and typically where the matting has been disturbed. So I want to be clear about, I'm not talking about the all-state matting is broke. I'm talking the actual matting gets broke. And if you've ever put your thumb in a hail bruise on a composition shingle, you can tell that there is a dimple there. You can put your thumb in it. The reason why there is a depression is because the matting is broken. It has broken, and and you can't see it because it's fiberglass striations across the top of it. Every now and then you can get it where it punches through the fiberglass, right? But when it breaks that fiberglass down, because it has now compromised it, that is where moisture is most likely to penetrate and permeate. And that's why hail damage left unaddressed can eventually lead to leaks. Mm-hmm. And so that is the issue, by and large, with not addressing hail damage. Or I'll just wait for the next one, which I don't have any problem with. And in this market, I might even counsel you to do so. Right? You know what I'm saying? Don't even ring that bell. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would never tell someone to not file a claim. I would advise them of the consequences or the benefits if they do. You know what I mean? And it's insurance carriers are right now, they're a lot they're very, very stingy. And until they can get to a profitable sort of position, because right now they're looking at other things than just money in, money out. You think it's just that simple, but it's really not that simple. It's like for the premium dollars versus claim dollars go out. When that is in a negative flow, you're going to see response from the carriers that you're seeing right now. Now, I think as things rebound, we might see something better. But I don't know if you noticed that when we had supply chain issues coming out of the pandemic, when the world basically opened up and we were kind of all about 3 or 4 weeks behind on having enough straws for the drinks at Sonic. You know what I mean? Like, you just ran out because we quit ordering them because people quit showing up, right? And so we're going to quit ordering them. And when people start showing up again and you realize, oh, now I've got to step up my inventory. I got to turn my inventory faster than I was turning it. It created a much higher demand. So it wasn't just this one Sonic that made a mistake. It was all of the Sonics. All of them had this problem, right? And then all of the McDonald's and all of the Whataburgers and all of the Burger Kings, all of them had the problem. And all the fun little, people that manufacture straws in lands far, far away from here, are having a hard time keeping up, right? They can only produce so much, and it created obviously supply chain issues. And so when supply is short or we can't get supply, what happens then? This is simple economics. It's not a trick question. Just shout them out as you hear them, as you get the answer. Yeah, the prices go up. Now, once we solved the supply chain issues, we never really saw an appropriate reduction in price, which tells you they've determined that the economy can maintain the higher retail pricing that we see now. So it's not going to come down. So because the cost of materials and building and labor has elevated, because we now have to pay more people to actually leave their home to go to work. I'm going to say that again. We actually have to pay people more money to leave their home to go to work because they're going to want to, because of the pandemic, we figured out that it was possible. People are leveraging that position. And so to get them to come into an office, they've got a premium. So now labor is higher, that people have to leave the work, and it's not going down. And so all of this stuff is now going to remain more expensive. The only thing the carriers can do is raise your premiums. And moreover, raise your financial obligation to deter you from filing claims so that they can rebuild up their coffers. When you have a major insurance carrier that leads the nation in policies in force, drop their financial rating from an A+ down to a B, that gets a little bit scary from a global or a national economic landscape. Okay, so this is not good. This is not good because it hurts us all. And so remember that when you're out there and you're using these tools and you're putting the screws to whatever carrier. I am still here to tell you insurance policies cover what insurance policies cover. And you absolutely should, they should absolutely be paying for every dollar of coverage that they provided for the premium that they collected. I am not suggesting that one way or the other. But if you don't have a really good amount of proof or reason to believe, or whatever the case may be, that contractor or that mitigation guy or whatever the case may be is an estimator and a public adjuster, if they're not going to have a supervisor there for the 40 hours that they're wanting you to estimate for, I'm going to tell you, stop putting it in there. You know what I mean? They owe for what they owe for. And if ain't nobody going to show up to supervise it, then the carrier certainly doesn't owe for it. I'm telling all of my contractors, if you don't like Xactimate pricing, by all means, raise your prices. Everybody else has. Why shouldn't you? You know what I mean? And that is kind of where I land on it. So as you're using these tools to obviously streamline you, make you more productive so that you can increase your revenue to afford to pay for all the shit that's gone up, just remember what your goals are there, and use these things to help shore up your weaknesses. And that's about all I've got. Jess, any final thoughts? She just shook her head no. She's on a damn radio show where nobody can see her, and she just shook her head no. And I can't hear her now for some reason, and I don't know why. Yeah. So yeah. Well, for some reason she's muted. I can't hear her. But we're all set. And she's giving me the high sign. None of you people, for you folks following along at home and keeping score, Jess is ready to sign off. She's given me the dance, and so I'm going to go ahead and play the music. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and we will see you on the next one.
Got my hand on the hammer, ready to ram you like the fire slammer jammer. Yes, we're coming up, don't even try to diminish it. I won't start it, but I damn sure will finish it.